Hello guys, welcome back to the Brutal Investor channel. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day today. In this episode, we're going to cover a Binance Smart Chain based project, and this project is called Kian Governance Token or KUN, right? Again, as always guys, I highly recommend you guys to do your own research on any of the projects that we cover on our channel. And for this project, I recommend you guys to go to their website kian.finance in order to learn more about their project, right? So what is Kian protocol? Kian protocol basically is a protocol that they are using to showcase NFTs. It's kind of like an NFT marketplace. So on the website they're stating that limited edition NFT hunting on Binance Smart Chain, right? So again, this is an NFT based project with a lot of really cool unique NFTs, such as this dragon picture that they have on the top of the website, which is a pretty cool picture. So you can kind of use Kian protocol as this NFT kind of marketplace on Binance Smart Chain, right? There are three levels of Kian NFT: regular NFTs, Kun long NFTs, and Kian long NFT, right? So they have three basic levels, and it's basically regular NFTs, Kun long NFTs, and Kian long NFTs, right? Regular NFTs has number of 500 for each version. Kun long NFT has a limit to 72. Kian long NFT number is limited to 10, right? So again, I know that the English sentences are quite weird, but the thing is, this is I believe it's kind of like a Hong Kong based project, and therefore, if you have some spelling mistakes that you identify on this website, I would probably not really worry about it too much. Or if you have some sentence formation which is quite very hard to read or understand, I wouldn't necessarily be worried too much, because this is basically something that all projects from Southeast Asia or even Chinese based projects kind of have in common. The translation from Chinese to English isn't that good. So the main point that you have to understand with regards to this project is you have three different levels, and the regular NFT is basically the less popular and kind of like the more easily accessible NFTs, and the Kun long is like the next level, which kind of has a 72 NFT limit, and the Kian long NFT is basically limited only to 10 slots or 10 users, right? So again, very interesting point to understand. If you want to mint your own NFT on Binance Smart Chain, I recommend you guys to click this link to mint your own NFTs, right? All-round stablecoin system. So apart from NFTs, they're also mainly focused on the stablecoin system they're aiming to create. Kian protocol provides a set of open architecture allowing anyone to generate stable value tokens anytime and anywhere, right? So you kind of have a system within Kian Finance that allows you to also kind of generate stable value tokens, which is basically stable coins, at any time, right? So that's something very interesting to see. And if you see, you can clearly find this project available on Ethereum as well on top of the Binance Smart Chain, but that's also very interesting to know. So what is the main key function? It's basically very handier and safer for you to mint and store your NFTs with Kian protocol. Clear and user-friendly process compatible with Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain, covering a larger user group. The first global volatility index regulating position risk, balancing extreme market risk control and capital efficiency, right? So again, right off the bat, you guys already are aware that this project is kind of available on Binance Smart Chain, but it's also available on the Ethereum blockchain as well. So it's kind of like using the robustness of the Ethereum blockchain combined with the fast growth that Binance Smart Chain is having in order to make its project kind of more like a very consistent project with a lot of use cases, right? And they're basically talking about how you can kind of use this project to kind of mitigate risk through their stablecoin minting kind of feature. I highly recommend you guys to read through their white paper as well, which you can access by clicking this blue button here. And if you scroll down, you can clearly see that this token is kind of like a fair launch token where 100% of the token supply belongs to the community. Kun, a governance token with no pre-mining, no private sale, no team distribution, and 100% mining distribution, is basically available for each user to kind of like get a hold of the Kun token. Each Kun holder is the project manager, truly community oriented, right? So it is a very it's very good that this project has no kind of like pre-mining or token sale or allocation. It's completely sold to the public. It's kind of completely available for the public to buy from the Binance Smart Chain as well as the Ethereum kind of like dApps, Ethereum DEXs. So by holding Kun token, you're basically a kind of like a project manager for your for the own NFT based projects as well as a stablecoin generation project that Kian Finance is able to provide you with. But you're kind of like owning a bit of the project itself, because it's completely fair launch, and there's no issue with the team members dumping the token or no vesting schedules, nothing like that, right? So it's fully community oriented, right? You can obviously mine this token on Ethereum as well as on Binance Smart Chain by clicking on the different links. And if you see, they're obviously talking about some of their main features here. So open ecosystem, application and service providers can fairly participate in the development and construction of the Kian ecosystem. No permission needed to use and integrate Kian. The Kian Foundation will provide technical support for ecosystem partners, developers and projects, right? So again, so this basic ecosystem tries to make it fair and open and simpler for people to participate and develop, and they basically are encouraging people to come and build on top of the Kian protocol and making the Kian ecosystem grow. No permission is needed, which is obviously a decentralized kind of like ecosystem where people can kind of like get support from the Kian Foundation, which will help people, projects as well as partners and developers to build on the Kian protocol, right? So a very nice kind of like a project that helps and motivates people to kind of like join its protocol. You can also see some of their socials here. You can kind of like access their socials, mainly the Telegram group, and try to learn about this project. You can even kind of like talk to people who are kind of holding this token and see how the token price has been and what their experience was, and you can kind of learn more about the project through like networking and connecting with other people, right? So cooperating community, they are basically working together. I like the word the cooperating community because they could have simply used the term like partners or investors or whatever to kind of mislead their audience, but instead they chose to use the words cooperating community, which is, I believe, a much more like an open and fairly used word to represent that they're basically cooperated by these kind of projects, but they're not necessarily partners or not necessarily like invested in this project, right? So that's a very interesting thing that I would like to probably see from many different projects. But if you see, Balancer is one of the main partners that they're cooperating with in order to like kind of like maybe list their token or make the liquidity for this token available on the Ethereum blockchain. DBank, which is a very popular DeFi wallet, S.Finance, Dex.ag, Equator, Loopring, which is a big name, B-Stable, which is also a popular kind of like project on the Binance Smart Chain, and DeFi Pulse, right? So again, it's good that they're cooperating and kind of like trying to work together with different projects in order to make themselves stand out. You can also access their blogs. They're constantly like updating and providing information, which will kind of help you guys with your research. They also kind of like provide tutorials on how you can mint and kind of mint the QUSD, which is one of their native stable coins, and also mine KUN Kun token on the same website, right? So pretty interesting project which tries to bring the best world of NFT as well as kind of like the stablecoin platform itself, with a lot of potential to grow, not only within the Binance Smart Chain ecosystem, but also within the Ethereum blockchain once Ethereum kind of like gets its upgrade, and who knows, this project could also branch out to Polkadot and several other blockchains as well, right? So let's go to the CoinGecko page for the Kian governance token, and this token is currently like unranked as of the time of making this video, and it's currently trading at around $3.09, and recently had a 2.8% increase in the past 24 hours. If you see, the market cap information for this token is not yet available. I do believe that this project is a very low market cap token, and any governance token, this token will have some form of a initial rough ride, but it will kind of stabilize and can even pump extremely hard, right? But with the market cap probably being less than $50 million in market cap, I do think that this project has a lot of chance of exploding by the end of this bull run and making at least like a decent 10 to 20x from its current price point, right? But if you look at the max supply and circulating supply, you can clearly see that the max supply is very low, but I wouldn't really trust these values. It is quite misleading. I would also look at coin market caps, values to see if the maximum value kind of makes sense, or the circulating supply values are available. I do think that this token is an extremely scarce token with its low max supply and with its relatively low circulating supply in proportion to its max supply. So that's kind of something that you guys need to keep in mind. With such a low kind of like token supply and relatively low market cap, the volatility for this token is going to be extremely high, and you guys definitely need to be very mindful of that before you invest in this project, right? If you see, the market cap versus total value locked ratio hasn't really been updated, I believe, and once that value is updated, you can kind of see an idea of how the market cap is in proportion to the total value locked, right? Because as of now, the total value locked is $1 million, but I do believe that the token market cap itself is probably at least like $10 million to $15 million in market cap. So if you have like a 10 is to kind of like 1 ratio, you kind of see that this token is slightly overpriced at this price point. But again, this value can change. There may be more people who may potentially use this project and kind of like accumulate, increase the total value locked, which will kind of like tip the ratio to be less than 1 point, which will kind of like make it kind of like an undervalued project, right? So the market cap to the total value locked ratio, if it's below 1 or equal to 1, then you can kind of, if it's below 1, then you can kind of say that this project is kind of like undervalued. If it's equal to 1, then it's fairly valued. If it's over 1, then it's kind of overvalued, right? Since we don't have the values updated yet, I don't think I would want to comment on that, but I do believe that it's better to keep in mind to kind of like have a look out for this value in the future, maybe after a few weeks, and kind of trying to see the value, right? So let's go to the charts. So the charts kind of like have a very like interesting picture, because if you see, this token data is available since the since early December of 2020, and it was trading at 46 cents per token, and it was kind of like moving sideways, and it kind of had a decent kind of like rally from early February, and kind of reached a relatively all-time highs of about $37, and kind of like went back down, kind of was moving sideways, kind of setting some lower lows and higher lows and lower highs and all those kind of like weird pattern by moving sideways. But it was only until early May when this token actually took off. It was basically valued at $1.01 on May 7th, and it kind of shot up literally to a high point of all-time highs of about $3.09 at the time of making this video. So this is kind of like the price point that you shouldn't technically buy, because once it shoots up like this parabolically, it is going to go down with probably the same momentum. I believe that there will be some form of like buying pressure that will kind of stabilize the price value at about $2 or $2.50 in that range. But it does have a potential to even break the $2 and kind of retest the $70 mark and $80 mark, which will also be a good time to enter, right? So this time with the dollar comparative, I wouldn't really buy this token, because it is kind of like very hot right now. I would allow it to cool a bit before I buy this token, right? But this kind of gives you guys an opportunity to do sufficient amount of research, because once this token comes down and you have done your research and you believe that this token is good to invest in, then you will have a dip which you will be able to buy, right? Again, not financial advice, it's just my opinion, right? If you take the Bitcoin comparative, on the other hand, it's pretty much the same kind of like a pattern as the dollar comparative. It was trading at 2,300 satoshis per token early December last year, and then was moving sideways, setting like relatively slow, kind of like not really prominent peaks and troughs, but it was kind of like trading sideways until early May, where kind of like this token was trading at 1700 satoshis per token, but now it's kind of like at its all-time highs in the Bitcoin comparative, about 5,800 satoshis per token, right? Which is a very interesting phenomenon. It's pretty high right now. I wouldn't really recommend anyone buying this at this price point, but you can kind of expect this token to kind of retest this 4,800 satoshis, or even like 4,500 satoshis per token, which will be a really good buy point, right? If you take the Ethereum comparative, again pretty similar, but if you see, the token was initially quite highly priced at 0.0007 ether per token, and then had like an all-time lows of about 0.00012 ether per token. Kind of went back up, making an all-time high of 0.0007, and then was at a relative lows of about 28,000 GUI on May 9th, and then kind of shot up, and now it's kind of like 0.00075 ether per token, right? Again, it's pretty much at its all-time highs when it comes to dollar comparative, Bitcoin comparative, as well as ether comparative. So it kind of wait a bit. There is a cool down phase that will happen for this token, which will be a really good entry point, right? If you take the exchanges where it's available, you can obviously get it from PancakeSwap, which is a decentralized exchange on the Binance Smart Chain, and you can pretty much buy it with wrapped BNB, BUSD, and pretty much that's the only trading pair that's available. And you can also pretty much get it from CoinX, which is something that I wouldn't really recommend, which is probably centralized, third-tier centralized exchange, which is not really popular, right? So if you see, this token is not really as popularly available on any of the centralized exchanges yet, not even the third tier or second tier token, and not even the third tier or second tier exchanges, which means by buying this token at this price point or at this kind of level, you are buying it relatively early, even though it's kind of like its all-time high. I wouldn't really recommend you buying this token at its all-time high, but again, not financial advice. Please do your own research before you put any of your money on this token. But I would kind of wait, and even if you do end up buying this token for some reason at this price point, which is at its all-time high, you are still buying it way earlier than any centralized exchange can list it, right? Which is kind of like a good thing for people who want to invest in projects before everybody else starts talking about it, right? So as the Binance ecosystem kind of grows, you will have more and more people coming to the DeFi players and Binance Smart Chain, as well as the NFT players. And since Kian is kind of like trying to make its own stable coins, as well as kind of trying to have this NFT marketplace with the really unique kind of like East Asian kind of artwork, and kind of have its own unique niche for NFTs, then this token definitely can pump extremely hard. And by being a governance token, people may at some point in the future want to take part in the governance proposals within this project, and that will kind of make people to hold and hodl this token, which will also be price positive, right? So my final thoughts on this token is that it's relatively early, and you're pretty much buying it before any centralized exchange can list it, any major centralized exchanges can list it. Depending on how well they kind of like continue to retain traction, and how the ratio of the market cap versus total value locked is, you can kind of see this token performing extremely well, but expect a lot of volatility because it's still in its early stages, right? And I also forgot to mention that this token can also be passively acquired by staking your cake tokens, if you have any, on one of the syrup pools for Kun in the Pancake swap exchange, right? Decentralized exchange, right? You can kind of earn this passively if you have some really spare amount of cake tokens that you're not really staking, or if you have any form of like huge volumes of cake token that you want to use to kind of like get this token for free. You can just stake it on their seller pool and kind of like earn this token passively, right? So that's another means by which you can passively get exposure to this token, obviously if you want to, but I do think that this token is something that is going to be a really interesting player. It's going to be like a silent a token that is completely under the radar, which can pump extremely high, right? So I do see this token having that potential. Again, remember guys, you guys are not regular investors, you guys are brutal investors, so stay brutal. Thank you very much for watching my video guys. If you like my video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. See you in my next video. Bye.